it is Rachel. So I'm dropping in today to bring you a very special treat. By the time you are hearing this and the day this episode drops, it will be the day after the Day of Love, Valentine's Day. We hope you had a wonderful day. Spend it doing what you love with who you love, even if it was just showing yourself some love. So here at SS True Crime, we wanted to show some love to one of our favorite guests, William Holbert, aka Wild Bill. If you're new here and you don't know who Bill is, go back and listen to our last 6 episodes where we share Bill's story and you will hear it directly from Bill himself. Also, if you haven't seen our social media, number 1, go like and subscribe. Find us at SS True Crime on all platforms. But if you haven't seen, we shared that Bill has started his very own podcast. The name of Bill's podcast is Stone Jug Entertainment. And on his podcast, Bill covers a wide variety of topics, and we are so appreciative that he allowed us to share one of his episodes with you all. Now, in honor of the Day of Love, Bill is sharing his episode covering hybristophilia. It is sometimes called the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome, but it is a sexual interest and attraction to those who have committed a crime. Listen as Bill interviews someone who explains what hybristophilia is really like and another who goes into the psychology behind it. Bill, thank you for letting us share your show. Guys, be sure to go listen and follow Stone Jug Entertainment and go like and follow them on Facebook. And one last thing on the topic of love, I'm sure you guys are not loving only hearing my voice. I'm not loving only hearing my voice. But don't worry, Kel and myself are hard at work to bring you all new episodes that will be coming out really soon. So stay tuned. Happy belated Valentine's Day from both of us here at SS True Crime. We hope you enjoyed this special episode of Stone Jug Entertainment, and we love you guys. Bye, guys.
Welcome, boys and girls, to Stone Jug Entertainment's podcast, coming to you from inside the most dangerous prison in the Western Hemisphere. I'm your host, professional killer, and the world's only real-life supervillain, Wild Bill Holbert. I offer myself to you, the listener, as the underworld's prophet. As always, at Stone Jug Entertainment, we bring the concrete hell right into your living room. First, I'm going to shamelessly plug my very awesome, new, and unique book, Long Live the King, Wild Bill. The Hero is a Villain. It's a memoir I wrote about my arrest in a Nicaraguan war zone, subsequent torture, extradition to Panama, and my first year in prison. A supervillain was born, and it's all there inside in my own words for you to read. Go get your copy today of Long Live the King, Wild Bill on Amazon. They're literally flying off the shelves right now, and I can't believe how big this thing is becoming, how quickly. It's awesome. Today at Stone Jug, we're dealing with hybristophilia. What a big word, and one that I had never heard up until about 6 months ago. Hybristophiliacs, I call them Ted Bundy hoes, are the chicks that like bad boys, but not just any bad boys, but the motherfucking nightmare bad boys of the underworld, like me, Wild Bill. Let's get a definition of what hybristophilia is. The medical journal says hybristophilia is a sexual interest in and attraction to those who commit crimes, a paraphilia in which sexual arousal and attainment of orgasm are responsive to and contingent upon being with a partner known to have committed a crime. Hey, that's me, baby. Come and sit on Daddy's lap. As I said, Ted Bundy hoes is what I call them, and they all seem to have a thing for him. He killed the shit out of women for sexual gratification, and some broads just dig his crowbar-wielding ass. Now, not all hybristophiliacs are Ted Bundy fans, of course, but a lot of them are, and this is why I group them together and deem them Ted Bundy hoes. It's a term of endearment, so don't worry. Oh, and if anything that I might say offends you, please feel free to stop listening now. Don't whine in the comments. Don't cry on social media. Just ignore us, Karen. Just ignore us, Ken. Don't ruin it for the rest of us. This is a very politically incorrect show, and by that I mean it's honest. Now, for the vast majority of us, let's get started. Hey, I'm seriously excited about today's show. I've got 2 great guests for you today, and we have an interview with a hybristophiliac. I'm going to call her Alice. Alice is a very physically attractive wife, mother, and even has a young grandchild or 2. She's intelligent. I've known her for quite a long time. She's also Australian, and I dig Aussie broads, and her name, it ain't Alice, but we're going to protect her identity. Alice, it's good to have you, baby, on the show. Tell us what it is about Ted Bundy that really gets your motor purring.
Hey Bill, well thanks for having me. As far as Ted goes, well, he flies in the face of everything society believes a serial killer ought to appear. He's simply intriguing, and he's been intriguing me since the age of 14.
Alice, how was it that you found out about Ted? What was it that, or how do you remember when you were 14 and you first saw a news article about him or something like that? How was it that you found out about Ted?
I first heard about Ted when I watched the miniseries The Deliberate Stranger, which had Mark Harmon as Ted. And I said to myself, I have to find out about the real Ted. I've just got to know everything about him. So I started buying true crime magazines and books featuring him. And of course, that was before we had the internet. So finding stuff was pretty hard. But I think I did all right. I ended up collecting a lot of stuff.
That's really interesting, Alice. And tell me, what is it exactly about Ted Bundy that attracts you to him? And what do you think? This is a twofold question. What is it about Ted Bundy that attracts you to him? And what do you think other women see in killers and violent men? What do you think? What is the attraction there? What do you think?
For me, well, I guess it's the swagger, the suit, his sense of humour. He was actually quite witty, and it's the kind of wit that I find attractive in everyday life. And I'll be honest, it's also that whole predatory thing he had going on. I'm not one of those women that think they could have saved him or that he might have spared me. I'm under no delusions. I'm drawn to him and each facet of his complex persona, more or less. There are many like me, and we congregate online, and I've actually met women who have become close friends due to our shared interest in Ted, and they're awesome people who function in society as wives, mothers, etc., hold jobs. People tend to think we are basically certifiable, um, that we're crazy, but we're a normal people, and we just happen to find Ted and others of his kind extremely attractive and fascinating.
You know, an interesting thing that I've noticed is that the persona of Ted Bundy is growing. It's not shrinking. The next generation have discovered Ted Bundy, and there's a lot of young teenage girls online. Do you think that are Ted Bundy fans, and you can see them and they post stuff on Instagram and Facebook? Do you think that Ted Bundy's fame will ever die, or will it just continue to go on forever?
We were actually a quiet little community up until 2 years ago when the movie Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile came out, starring Zac Efron as Ted. Big mistake that was. A whole new wave of people flooded in, people who couldn't comprehend that Ted Bundy was not Zac Efron. Facebook groups were shut down, including mine, which I'd run for 5 years previously. Things have quietened down somewhat, but there will always be an interest in Ted. You know, it's just not going to go away. I'm friends with quite a few newcomers who have become part of our community, and there's no sign of things ever petering out. I think he'll be around for some time.
Alice, what are some of the negative experiences that you've had with the Karens, those who want to control everybody else, what everybody else thinks, those vile people who can't just live and let live? What are some of the negative experiences that you've had with Karens in your pursuit of Ted Bundy?
It's interesting to note that the majority of the negativity I've experienced in the TED community has come from men. I've had upsetting experience with nasty messages on Facebook. I've had to block some of them from my TED page that I used to run. Just the standard, he would have killed you too, you're a freak, and all the rest of it. I also had a guy try to smear me all over Facebook as a condoner, which I'm not. These guys are nuts. I think the most devastating thing was losing my TED page a couple of years back when Facebook took it down after 5 years of building it up with hard work, time and research. That was pretty hard to take.
That's incredible, Alice. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm surprised that it's the men that's giving you a hard time, and that really
enlightened me because I wouldn't have thought that. Another question is, what would you like to say to anyone who would like to stop you from being a Ted Bundy enthusiast? What would you say to that person that wanted to make it not possible for you to pursue Ted Bundy?
I think these guys fall under the banner of what they call incels. Usually men who have trouble garnering female attention, so they become bitter and twisted. And to anyone who would try to stop me in my pursuit of all things Ted, well, knock yourself out trying.
You know, I was going to say the same thing. I think that they're probably the men who are probably really worried about that are men who are probably very insecure. That was my opinion as well. Well, Alice, thank you so much, gorgeous, for being with us today. And I have one final question before I go. If you put Ted Bundy aside, if you could meet any other famous, or should I say infamous, bad boy, who would you choose?
Well, I'd have to say Wild Bill every time. Thanks for having me. It's been really good to talk about these things. Thanks.
Thank you, Alice, for your honest and eye-opening and engaging answers. Here at Stone Jug, we want to be thorough and scientific as well. For that reason, we've invited psychological researcher Carolyn Dreyer to give us some tough answers to questions that I know that I have, and therefore I assume that you, the listener, also have a desire to know. Miss Dreyer holds a master's in forensic psychology and has been involved in psychological research for over a decade. She's a stone fox as well, a gorgeous broad. Welcome, Miss Dreyer, to Stone Jug. Can you define hybristophilia for our listeners, please?
Thank you for that lovely introduction. And according to the American Psychological Association, or the APA, which is your gold standard resource for psychological information, hybristophilia is considered a disorder that's characterized by sexual interest in and attention to those who commit crimes. In some cases, this may be directed toward people in prison for various types of crimes. It is considered a paraphilic behavior and is often referred to as the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. And then according to the diagnostic manual, hybristophilia is considered a psychiatric paraphilia and is characterized by unusual or bizarre fantasies or behaviors necessary for sexual excitement. This can include fantasies or acts that persist over a period of at least 6 months, and it is considered a disorder. So, from a clinical perspective, women might seek out these type of men due to low self-esteem, lack of a father figure, belief that they can change that bad boy image. Also, it can be characterized by wanting to nurture the little boy inside of that man. It also includes wanting to share any media spotlight or gain notoriety. And in some cases, these women may have been victims of physical or sexual abuse. It is a disorder that seems to be more common among women than men. And of course, all this information is given on a case-by-case basis. We can't say that this would apply to all women with this disorder. In terms of the potential causes, my personal opinion would be that it's a little bit of the person's environment and possibly genetics. You never know the hereditary factors involved with mental illness or disorders of this nature. And then as far as treatment is concerned, psychotherapy would be the most common type of therapy that would be used, but according to research, this type of therapy would only be used in cases of aggressive hybristophilia, and most likely the therapy would be a result of legal action.
Carolyn, I'd ask you, why do you think that women love violent men. What do you think that is?
From my personal perspective, I would think women are attracted to violent men for the excitement of it. And again, leaning towards common traits among these women, I think every girl or woman wants to be that one person that can change the bad boy. So I think it's a little bit of a challenge, but more so just the excitement of it.
Now, I ask you, so listen, it sounds like it's environmentally charged. Do genetics have anything to do with it, or is it all environment?
I would tend to agree with the environmental factors being a component more than genetics. However, if the person had underlying mental illnesses such as depression or anxiety, things that can be based on genetics, then I would say that genetic factors would play a role as well. But without doing a complete diagnostic assessment of the individual, it's hard to say how much of a role genetics would play. So I would lean more towards the environmental factors being the most influential.
Carolyn Dreyer, ladies and gentlemen, she is some kind of stone cold fox. Now, we really want to thank Carolyn for being on the show, and we're going to revisit this subject, hybristophilia, later on. In about 6 weeks, we'll come back to it. And so we'll ask Carolyn to come back on and be our guest again. Also, for any other thing we're going to ask to consult with her. So you guys thank Ms. Dreyer, and we thank you, Ms. Dreyer, for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Well, I've reserved my own opinion for last. I think the Ted Bundy hoes, or hybristophiliacs, are mostly women who are looking for a strong male figure. I think they're attracted to the monsters of this world, like myself, because most of today's men are pansy-ass pussy boys who are looking for more for a surrogate mother than for a wife or girlfriend, and that's not very attractive, fellas. The feminization of today's adult male and the demasculization of the average man has made women confused. We are all just cavemen and women. Anyway, 10,000 years ago, we were all living in tents and caves, and the social structure was much simpler than it is today. Big, strong, intelligent man, him boss man, him fuck all women, him tell beta man what to do. 10,000 years ain't very long in social evolutionary terms. We all have mobile phones, and you guys out there in the street are all drinking Starbucks. Not me in prison, but you guys out there are. But we really are still just cavemen and cavewomen at heart. A woman wants to be fucked by an alpha male. The beta males are great for making dinner and listening to her problems and doing her taxes, but baby wants a bad boy to tear that shit up. Tell me I'm wrong, girls. Ain't y'all sick of effeminate men? Who floats your boat? The monsters of the world like Wild Bill, or some dude with a man bun who's in touch with his feminine side? We all know the skinny bad boys lay good pipe, and it ain't no secret. That wraps up our show today. If you or someone you know is a hybristophiliac, please by all means come sit on my lap, baby, and tell me about it. Also buy my damn book, or else. Long Live the King, Wild Bill. Long Live the King by Wild Bill by William Wild Bill Hobart. It's available on Amazon, and the link is in the description box. Like this right now and subscribe to this program. Don't be difficult. Do it, or else. Don't make me put my foot in your ass. Like and subscribe right now. Hey, God bless you guys. I love you guys. Jesus Christ lives. He loves you, and I love you too. I'm Wild Bill, the criminal's prophet, and the world's only living supervillain, signing off from inside the most dangerous prison in the Western Hemisphere. Peace, baby.
Thanks for listening to SS True Crime. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe. Maybe give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Tune back in every 3 weeks for a new episode. If you'd like to get in touch, feel free to reach out. Instagram, email, Twitter. Just follow the links in the show notes and you'll find us. Until next time.